Good morning. It is September the 19th, 2021. This radio broadcast is being brought to you from your friends with the Church of Christ, located at 3816 West Fountain Road. That's 3816 West Fountain Road, Ludington, Michigan, 49431. My name is Steve Basden, and my phone number where you can contact us live this morning is 231-425-6044. That's 231-425-6044. Now, before I get going this morning, I received a word of admonishment from one of my, from one of the parishioners of which I go to church with. This dear lady, Doris, came to me last Sunday after the radio broadcast when I got to church, and she said, "Steve, I need to admonish you for something, and I hope you take it good." And I said, "Doris, you can tell me anything you want, dear. It's all good." You see, Doris is 96 years old, and hey, even if she was 25, I would still take, admonishment well. She says, "You speak way too fast on the radio. You just go way too fast. I have a hard time keeping up." Well, for those who may feel the same way, I apologize. I get going. Sometimes I'm like a machine gun, and I just start rattling off verse after verse or thought after thought, and I go so quickly that often I'll get a text or an email. Somebody will say, "Steve, what was that verse you referred to? You were going pretty quick." And I want to apologize for that, number one. But number two, usually when I do go quick, it's because I have so much information I want to share. So much that's there that we need to examine or take a look at, or at least introduce thoughts into your mind about things and get you thinking and get your juices flowing, to do something to stir something within your soul. We have a lot of people out there in the world today, and if I talk about a particular topic just from one perspective, it may not really register with them. But if I talk about one topic from 15 different perspectives, one of those perspectives may appeal to that individual. And so I try to get in as much as I can, as quickly as I can, for the benefit of the audience. But if I'm going too quick, and if you're not able to stay along with me, then that's not good either. So Doris, I love you. Thank you, dear. Appreciate you more than you know. Love you more than you know. In Matthew chapter 2, King Herod sent out a decree. Verse 16. Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, you see these wise men came looking for Jesus, the birth of Jesus. Jesus had been born. They come to King Herod, wanted to know where they expected probably the king to know, and to maybe even be a part in respecting this child, the Messiah, which had been born. They came to King Herod and they wanted to know, where can we find Jesus? And Jesus sent out getting some text messages here. So King Herod had sent these wise men out. He wanted to know from his scribes when the birth of Christ, where it would be, and they told him it would be at Bethlehem. And he told the wise men, "Okay, when you find him, you come tell me where he's at." And well, the wise men were warned of God, don't go back to King Herod. So they didn't. And when King Herod saw that he was mocked, Matthew chapter 2, verse 16, when he saw he was mocked of the wise men, he was exceeding wroth, mad. He sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So King Herod feels like he's been thwarted. He's been mocked. These people made very light of what the king asked of them. They didn't do it. And he gets even more upset. He's already upset because a new king has been born, a Messiah. He doesn't want to lose his throne, and he doesn't want his heritage to lose their rightful place as being his children sitting on the throne. So he sends out a decree. He wants the child dead. What's he do? He sends out a decree to kill all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof. What did the people do? Well, to our knowledge, they did nothing. In fact, according to the Bible, it was written that this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet. In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. They didn't do a thing to stop the murdering of the babies. King Herod makes a decree. The children must die. He sends in the troops. That must have been how it happened. He sends in at least his spokesman. I can't imagine somebody just saying, here you go, take my baby, kill it. I know you made a law. At the same time, we don't hear of anybody uprising. We don't hear of a rebellion. We don't hear an outcry of the public saying, this is an atrocity, this is an abomination against God, we will not, we cannot stand here and allow this. None of that took place. None of it. So, the king gets his way, and a part of this is due to the prophecy of Jeremiah. Jeremiah spoke of these days. Jeremiah spoke of these times. This is the last days of Israel, last days of Jerusalem being the religious headquarters of the Jews, last days of their feast days, last days of their daily sacrifice, last days of their priesthood. Jeremiah spoke of these times, and it would begin with the preaching of John being the forerunner to Jesus Christ. But it would also entail things like Elizabeth being with child, bearing John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin, who was his forerunner. It would entail Mary becoming impregnated by the Holy Spirit. It would entail Mary giving birth to Jesus. And there would be all these signs and all these things happening which every Jew should have recognized. Every living Jew who understood even the most simplistic, fundamental elements of the Old Testament could see that what was taking place right then and right there was their last days. God was going to end his covenant with them. He would bring about a new covenant. We refer to it today as Christianity. A new gospel, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news. Behold, unto us a child is born. Aha, wonderful counselor. The Almighty God shall be his name. And of the increase of his government and kingdom there shall be no end. Isaiah 9. They knew a new covenant was coming. Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 31. God warned them, because you have continually committed adultery against me, I'm divorcing you, I'm putting you to death, and I'm bringing about a new covenant. This was a sign, just one of many, that they were in their last days. And they did nothing. Christ was born at that time. He came at the right time. In Galatians chapter 4, verse 4, the Apostle Paul would write that Jesus Christ came, he was born of a woman, born under the law, born in the fullness of times. He was born at the exact right time when he needed to be born, when all prophecy was being fulfilled. Jesus would say in Luke 21:20, these be the days of vengeance when all things which are written may be fulfilled. When? When, Jesus? When you will see Jerusalem compassed with armies. Luke 21:20 and Luke 21:22. And this generation shall not pass to all which is written shall be fulfilled. Luke 21:32. Jesus came at the exact right time, and it was at a time when Israel had become so wicked that they were just almost complacent with giving up their children to die. Now, I want to equate this to us today. I've made this argument before on the radio broadcast. It may not be the last time I bring up this argument, but it is one of the most valid, detailed arguments I can think of to illustrate the state of the civil society in which we live right now of the United States of America. Our babies are being slaughtered through abortion. Our babies are being harmed with vaccinations. People who are trusting in their leadership are taking vaccinations which otherwise they would never take. I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be a doctor. But neither am I a doofus that cannot reason beyond the end of his nose. I would like to think that I have a reasonable amount of reasoning ability about me. When I can see that, number one, the government is mandating something they have no right to mandate. They have no right to interfere with my freedom to choose what's best for me physically, personally, bodily. When they take away my God-given right to live medicinally as I see fit according to my perspective, my thoughts, my beliefs, when they take that from me, they have just gone way over the line. They trampled across it. They've thrown down the Constitution. They've burned it. They've thwarted all that's good and decent and right. And now they're trying to make me do something against my will. Oh, if you're a federal employee, you've got to. Oh, if you work for a company or are contracted with a company that has over 100 employees, you must be vaccinated. This morning, on the way into the radio station, I heard a radio commercial on this channel, on 94.1, talking about being paid to get a vaccine in Lake County, Nuevo County. They named several places. You go there, and if you get the Moderna, it's $25. If you get the Johnson & Johnson, it's $50. If you refer somebody, it's $25. They'll give you a $10 food card. Oh, and you're entered into a lottery where you can win $500 if you get the jab. Oh, and if you don't get it, you can't go to work. And that's just the beginning. You got to show your papers. You got to show your papers whether you've been vaccinated or not. The other day I saw something on Facebook, and it had a religious exemption outline there of how to be exempted of the vaccine by and for your religious beliefs. And I have written letters of exemption which have been accepted from like Michigan State University. There's some folks that go to church with us, and they have a daughter, and this is their first year, I believe, at Michigan State, and they were told that Michigan State would not mandate vaccines, but lo and behold, they decided to change their minds, and they did, and so this couple's upset. They did not want their daughter to get this vaccination. The daughter did not want to. Steve, can you help us? We need a letter of exemption. So I gladly wrote one, and I thought it was a good letter, and it worked. She was exempt from receiving the vaccination mandate at Michigan State. At least for now, it has worked. But for me personally, I will not, hear me now, folks, I will not get any paperwork. I will not sign any paperwork. I will not carry any paperwork that tells them my personal medical situation. They're not seeing any papers from me. I'm not taking the jab, and I'm telling you I'm not taking the jab, and I'm telling you stick it where the sun don't shine if you don't like it. If you don't like it, come and do something about it. If you want to get jabbed, if you want to get stuck, listen, if you want to stick a needle in your arm and pump, and I don't recommend this, folks, but if you want to pump arsenic into your body, that's you. You think it's going to help you? I'm not saying don't do it. I'm going to say there's a consequence for doing it. I'm going to say if you do something to harm yourself, it's a sin. I'm going to say if you do something to commit suicide, it's a sin. I'll do all I can to give you the information you need to know. But the government does not have the right to mandate you taking a vaccine. If you want to, okay, go do it. You're still my friend. I still love you. If you don't want to, don't do it. And if they come after you because you don't, not only am I your friend, not only do I still love you, I'll fight for you. How's that? You call me, I'll go to war with you. We'll go to battle together. If I wait till they come to kick down my door after they've kicked down all of my neighbors' doors, it's too late. It's too late. It was too late for Jerusalem when King Herod made this decree and they just allowed it to take place complacently. They just sat back and said, well, the king gave his order and we got to fall in line and we're okay. I don't like it. I'm going to miss my baby, but king gave his orders. Friends, I'm not a Jew. Let me clarify that. I am not the Jews of Jesus' day. I'm not complacent. I'm not going to sit back and let them steal my God-given rights. I wish there were more people of the same mindset that are willing to stand and defend what's right and what's good and what's honest, which we can know through the God of the Bible, our God of the Bible, the only God there is. He's the one who sets the standards of morality and ethics. Doesn't go by some feeling, doesn't go by some dictator, doesn't go through a system of communism or socialism. No. Those things are given, they come from God. And I wish we could have a solidarity of people which is so strong, and so forceful, and so vigilant that we could make things better without it ever getting to the point of physical altercation. We need a voice so strong in solidarity. We need a voice of people coming together in such unity, of overwhelming, dedicated, unfettered determination to stop the evil, to recognize things for what they are. Listen, anybody who thinks Biden won legally and rightfully, you've got a brain problem. You've got a mental problem. There's something wrong with your head. They stole the election. It was a coup. General Milley comes out, right? It comes out now recently that he was dealing with China behind Trump's back in the early days of January, telling China he would give them forewarning about this and share information there and here. And he comes out and he says, well, it was my duty. I needed to do that because I didn't trust, the elected official that the United States of America lawfully put in. He's a traitor. He's a communist sympathizer. So I saw something again on Facebook. General Milley should be court-martialed, and everybody's clicking like, yeah, big whoop. So I said, I think he should be taken out and hung on the nearest tree for treason. That's the penalty. And Facebook put me in Facebook jail for 3 days. Our nation is gone for all practical intent purposes. It's history. Our dollar is plummeting. The price of goods are skyrocketing. If you've not heard, the price of real estate is the real estate market is ready to burst. The balloon's ready to go pop. Petrodollar is in rapid decline as Russia has made a deal with Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and China and others that they can now start trading oil freely without using the American dollar, which seriously undermines its value. So I get calls and I get people all of a sudden now, and I've been preaching, folks, I'm not a prophet, nor am I the son of a prophet, but I can see and I can reason about things. Last March 2020, I came out and I said, this whole thing is a bunch of garbage. This whole COVID thing is a bunch of hooey. It's a false flag. It is a ruse. They're using this to take away our freedoms. When they said you can no longer go to church, when they said you can no longer go to work because you're a baker and your job is non-essential, because you work at a theater and you're a non-essential, because you're working and making a living and trying to support your family, all of a sudden now you're non-essential and your religion doesn't matter. We're your new God. And you can't help your neighbor, even though they're in need, and you got to go and hide in your basement, put a mask on over your face, and stay away from everybody. And when they said that, I said, "What in the world's wrong with people? What in the world's going on with you? Do not do the wrong things, hoping good will come from it." That's Romans chapter 6, verse 1. Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. God forbids that we do things wrong, hoping that right will come from it. God forbids that. We don't do that. We don't turn our back on our neighbors. We don't turn our back on our God. We don't turn our back on our family and say, "I'm sorry, I can't go to work today, honey. I can't bring home money so that we can have a life and that we can eat and our children can be taken care of properly." Oh, because President Trump put out his suggestions and then Governor Whitmer follows through with it, and South Dakota, bless their hearts. That good governor of South Dakota didn't have any of it. By the way, speaking of different states and different things, the most highly vaccinated states in the United States of America, I just read this, but I take this with a grain of salt because it's just what I read. I didn't validate it, but the most highly vaccinated state in the United States is the state of Massachusetts, where I read 89% of the populace there had been vaccinated and over 70% with the second dose, and they have the highest rates of COVID there than any other state. Oh, but it's good for you. You got to take it. And the mandates come out, and they tell you they can't do this, and they tell you you can't do that, and they tell you they're going to kill your babies, and they're going to make you sick, and you got to get the jab, and nobody knows if it's good or if it's bad, if it's really going to work, what the long-term effects are. Nobody has a clue. But all the while, there's definite, absolute cases illustrating the many, many, many serious side effects of what those jabs are doing to people. But you got to do it. Not going to. Well, it's good for you. Well, we're not going to. Well, if you do it, we'll give you $25. Oh, well, maybe I will. If you don't do it, you'll lose your job. Okay, I guess I will. I know a person who said the only reason they got the vaccine is so they could travel out of the United States for a vacation come this winter. Only reason they got the jab. Because if they don't, they can't go. Oh, I gotta have my vacation. But okay, not only do I have to have my vacation, well, I better listen to them because they tell me if I can or I can't. And they're my God. They're my Savior. They're the ones going to protect me. If you think the United States of America is going to protect you today as a citizen, you're on drugs. There's something wrong with your head. You go down and look at the border in Texas right now, and you'll find an invasion. That's exactly what it was entitled in the news. An invasion of illegal, excuse me, they're not illegal anymore. Biden made them all legal. Of immigrants crossing the border, tens of thousands hoarding together. They're not subject to COVID testing. They're not subject to the masks. They're not subject to the vaccines. Welcome. Come in. Be as you may. Come on in. Bring your drugs with you. Bring your crime with you. Bring the stupid, idiotic, ignorant ways of your country with you that you're trying to flee from. Bring it into America and change us. Oh, by the way, American citizens, we want to kill you with abortions. We want to kill you with sin. We want your men to marry men and women to marry women and homosexuality to run rampant. We want to kill you with greed. We want to kill you with lies. We want to kill you with taxes, taking away your rights. Oh, but illegal immigrants. If anybody today thinks you can trust the United States of American government today, you're on planet Mars, man. Now, I believe in obeying the government when the government is in agreement with God. When the government goes against the directives of God, there's a time we must say no. Isn't that what we're talking about? I've had people call and ask, Steve, they've said, I'm starting to see now what you've been talking about. Now when you first started saying it, I thought you were crazy. I thought half the population in the United States of America was going to die. And I thought the world would be in chaos and we really had to wear the mask and we had to social distance and I couldn't wait for them. But now all of a sudden, I think maybe you were onto something, Steve. Okay. All right. I don't need any praise. I don't need any honor. I don't need any thank yous. I don't want any of that. I don't need any of that. But then the next question comes from people that usually go this route and they start saying, what do you advise? What do you advise? Number one, God, Jesus, the gospel, righteousness, faith, love, charity. Number one. And I put all those together because you can't have any one of those without all of them working together. Don't tell me you have love, true love, a biblical love, if you don't have Jesus in your life. Don't tell me that. It won't work. Don't tell me. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Don't tell me you love Jesus if you're not doing what Jesus said. Why call you me Lord, Lord, and do not that which I say? Don't tell me that. It won't work. Not with me. Not going to happen. So number one, I say we got to get faithful. Because faith is where morality and goodness and righteousness comes from. You see, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach of any people. So number one, we've got to get back to God. We've got to. But number two, we've got to resist that which is wrong. We have to resist. We have to tell the government, kiss my big fat toe. Go take a flying leap off a short dock into Lake Michigan. That's what we got to tell them. We got to tell them we no longer accept Biden and commie. Oh, Biden and commie. We don't accept that. We don't accept their authority. We're not subject to it. Getting a call. Let's take the call this morning. Good morning, caller. You are on Live with Steve Baisden. What's going on, Tim?
Oh, not too much. Nice sunshiny day. Thank the Lord.
Amen.
You got a good point there today. Hope people are listening. When you gotta love, you also gotta hate. You gotta hate those who don't love the Lord, His Word, His laws, and commandments. It says so in the Psalms and a few other places. And it's good to hear somebody, like you said, is there anybody else out there that has some righteous indignation? Let's keep hearing it. You can slow down a little bit, but keep pounding it out, buddy. Love you. You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, Tim. All right. Thank you. So number two, we have to resist. We have to stand in unified resistance. You know, one or two people here or there really aren't going to do anything. You're just a lone nutcase. My brother was telling me he went to the doctor's office and getting another call. Good morning, Sid. Good morning. You're on Live with Steve.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
When I don't watch 60 Minutes anymore or any of the national news anymore because they're all telling lies. Like when 60 Minutes did an interview with Trump, they gave him a hard questions. Then when they asked Biden one question, is this going to be a Trojan presidency? And I could tell right off the bat, just looking at him, he was lying. I'd say Obama's behind it because if if you take a look at what he did with the ammunition when he was in president for 8 years, Biden's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's lots of things. Yeah.
Whenever I see him, giving us, a long speech, he's always reaching to his left ear like he wants to pull something out.
Yeah. I got you. I appreciate it, Sid. Thank you for the call, buddy.
You're welcome.
All right, man. Catch you later.
Way I could see you sometime this week.
I've been, my life. I'm super busy. I'm going to do my best. I'll call you here within a day or two, okay?
Okay.
Appreciate it, Sid. Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Sid lives down in White Cloud, and that's 50 miles from me, and sometimes it's hard to find it, and I've been out this house 3 or 4 times, and appreciate Sid. Appreciate his thoughts. But let's get back to what can I do? God, number 1. Number 2, resist evil. Do that which is right. But let's take it beyond that. Let's take it beyond that a little bit. This person said, okay, I knew you'd say God, number 1. And he said, okay, resistance, number 2. He said, I'm talking about tangible things, intrinsic things for me. If things really got ugly, if things really got nasty, let's just say there was an economic collapse and the dollar went broke, which is going to happen. I mean, there's no way we can. In fact, Biden just this last week come out and said expect a recession. He literally said that, and if he come out and he says accept a recession, it's going to be it's going to be far worse than that. In my opinion, it's what I believe. It's what I think. He says, so what do I do in order to prepare for the collapse of the dollar? Where should I invest my money? Can't put it in stocks, can't put it in 401ks and I said, he said, well, I think I'm going to buy gold and silver. Let's take this number real quick. Good morning, caller. You're on live with Steve.
Hi, Steve. This is Dennis.
Hey, good morning, Dennis. How are you, sir?
Good. I just wanted to share a quote from Thomas Jefferson with your people.
Please do.
I read it at the doctor's office the other day. It said, people that fear the government is tyranny. The government that fears the people is liberty.
Amen. Thomas Jefferson was one smart cookie, man.
Yes, he was.
I appreciate that.
I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great day.
Appreciate the call. Thank you, Dennis. Okay. Thank you for that. That's excellent, by the way. But so I tell this person I wouldn't invest so much in gold and in silver because I believe in the short term, if the dollar collapses, there's going to be a very short window, a very short term where gold and silver will have a value. Right now, it's about $2,000 an ounce for gold, and it's about $25 an ounce for silver, approximately, right now, okay? When the dollar collapses, the value of gold right now is based on the dollar. But if the dollar collapses, all of a sudden now, the value of gold will temporarily skyrocket because the dollar won't be available. All we're going to have is this metal, if you have some. And after a short period of time, that will start to adjust, okay? It will come back down to what it was originally intended to be, where I remember back in the 90s, I could have bought an ounce of gold for $96. Okay. If you bought gold now at $2,000 an ounce and it drops to 96, you just lost a ton of money, number one. But number two, eventually it will lose all of its value in a critical crisis scenario. And here's why. You can't eat it. You cannot clothe yourself in it and stay warm. You cannot build a house out of gold or silver. You can't. There's no intrinsic value in gold or silver. I mean, it may be a rare commodity, granted, But what good does it do you if you're starving to death and you can't buy food with it? What good is it to you? If you go to the store and the store's shelves are empty, let's say you go to the store and there's 2 cans of vegetable beef soup on the shelf. That's all the store has. And you walk in and you say, I want to buy the vegetable beef soup. And the store owner says, well, what do you have? And you pull out a pocket full of gold. They say, wait a minute, I can't do anything with that. But do you have a gallon of gasoline? Maybe we can trade. See how gasoline may be more valuable than the vegetable beef soup? Let's take it up a little bit further than that. What if you go in there, there's 2 cans of vegetable beef soup. I want to buy it. I got a pocket full of gold. Gold's no good. I don't want your gold. I need something that's going to help me and my family. You know what I need? I need protection. Do you have any 30-06 bullets? Oh, now you would rather have bullets than gold? Yes. Why? I need to protect my family. I need to go hunting. I need to do other things. Oh, so you don't want gold? No, I can't eat it. You don't want gold? No, it won't protect me. You don't want gold? No, I can't live inside. It won't keep me warm. I need firewood. I'll tell you what, you bring me firewood, I'll give you a can of soup. How's that? You see, friends, gold and silver has no true intrinsic value. It may be a good short-term investment, and I'm not asking you to go by my investment suggestions. I'm just telling you my opinion, what I'm thinking here, okay? So what is a good investment during these times? Number one, in my mind, and these two go hand in hand, but the first one is a farm, property. Land that you can grow crops and raise animals on. You can stay warm from that property. You can grow food and have cheese and milk and all kinds. You can get all those things from that property. You can have a place there to stay dry. You can have a place there to stay warm. In my mind, that's when everything else is gone. The property will be here and its value will be here. And it may not be where it's at now with the housing bubble, but at some point in time, it will be the most valuable commodity. It'll come back around because you have to have it in order to live. Have to. Have to. Number two, in my mind, guns and ammo. Guns and ammunition. Now, I know a lot of people right now that are out there prepping. And bless your heart. I hope you get really good and prepared. I hope that you stock up and store up so that you never have to want for anything and that you can stay healthy and good in your life. I wish that for everyone. I don't want to see anyone suffer. But if you're preparing, you believe that there's going to come a time when the food that you're prepping with or whatever other commodities you're prepping with may not be readily available. You may not have access to it. You might not can get it. If you are prepping, deep down in your soul, deep down in your heart, you know something can happen where you can't or are not able to get the products that you're prepping with. Now, here's the question. You may be prepping. You may be doing fine in your preparations. You may feel comfortable with what you have prepped. But what will those preparations mean to people who are starving to death and can't get it? It'll mean life or death for them. And you may be thinking, I'll share it with them. Huh? Friends, the poor we will have with us always, Jesus said. You don't have enough to share with the entire community, the entire world. You don't have enough. If you did, you'd all be starving in a very short period of time. And I'm not saying don't help. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, do you think that there's people with bad motives out there that if they know that you have a bunch of stuff stored up, don't you think, and that's more valuable than gold, and it will be, don't you think they may want that? Don't you think? Don't you think that they'll get their gangs together? And don't you think that people that are starving will turn on their neighbors and turn on and they'll do anything in this world to don't you think things could happen beyond? I mean, I'm talking worst case scenario stuff. And it sounds Orwellian. It sounds crazy. Listen, during the Great Depression of the 1930s, the hardest hit areas were the urban areas, were the cities. You know who did okay during the Depression? Farmers. They did pretty good. Yeah. People who knew how to live off the land, people who knew how to deal with things. But today, and I want you to understand this too, today, our farmers are different than the farmers of our yesteryear. The farmers of today, they can't plant unless the government tells them what kind of seed to put in the ground. They can't plant unless their $2 million tractors are running properly. They can't plant unless they get all their chemicals from somewhere to keep the insects off and to keep the weeds out and they don't know how to do these things. Good morning, caller. You're on Live with Steve.
Well, Steve, Joe here. How are you?
Hey, Joe here. Good, buddy. How you doing this morning?
Good. Good show. You just mentioned about the Great Depression.
Yes, sir.
We'll back here from the Census Bureau. In the Great Depression, we had a population of 124 million something.
Okay.
10.7% of the people starved to death, according to the census.
Wow.
7 million starved to death and died in the cities. 5 million died in the countryside. That's 12 million. That was 10.7% of the population. That was just starvation.
Wow.
That was during a time when we had God was prevalent in the family, in the communities. People had more morals and character, helped one another, strangers helped one another.
Excellent.
In today's society, it could be a lot worse.
Excellent, excellent. Today we have none of those things. We don't even have the knowledge that they had back then, how to grow our crops without all the modern technology.
No.
I mean, it's really messed up. And good statistics, good points. Anything else you're thinking, Joe?
Well, sir, I'll see you at church.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, brother. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Yep. So this person who called and asking my advice about what to prepare with and what to invest with, we're on the phone, and after years, and I mean years of talking with this person, they finally said, you know what? I think that protection and guns and that may be one of the most valuable assets I could have. Why is it that they're trying to take away your Second Amendment rights right now? Why is that? And they are. Why is it that they're trying to remove the ammunition from off the shelves? And they are. You know, Biden just gave the Russian mandate that we cannot accept any more firearms or ammunition from Russia, which virtually give us 40% of our ammunition supply in stocks today. Why are they trying to take away our jobs, our guns, our freedoms, our health, our protection, our rights? Is there anything good? Can you think of a motive? Can you think of any motive, where somebody who's trying to do that to you has your best in their thought process? Let me think. They want to put something in me that may kill me, that may make me sick, that may harm my family. They don't want me to go to work. They don't want me to go to church. They don't want me to help my neighbors. They don't want me to have any protection or Second Amendment rights, which, by the way, is not only for protection, it's to curtail the tyranny, to stop the tyranny, to fight against them. They don't want me to have that ability. They're promoting abortion, killing our children. They're promoting homosexuality, which is detrimental to any nation. Yeah, they love me. I trust them explicitly. Ha! They would never do anything. They're there for our good. They're there to help us, you see. So my recommendations for this is Prepare on every level. Number one, you got to start preparing mentally. You have to have it set in your heart, in your mind, what you're going to need to do, how you're going to do it, and stay steadfast to what you know intellectually is the good and right, proper, and decent thing. You got to have it set in your mind. Now, you got to be willing to defend yourself, defend your rights. You maybe have to be willing to go on the offensive at times. I believe, personally, a secret to a good defense is a better offense. If I'm too busy scoring touchdown on the opponent, they're always running defense. They can never score on me. That's sort of General Patton's philosophy as well, but I don't have to get into all that. So get it right in your minds that there's some bad things coming down right now. And it's not that it's going to come tomorrow. It's not that it's going to come next month. Friends, it's already happening. Things are already taking place. Things are already shaping up right now. You better get your house in order. You better get God in there. Get your heart with God. Get your mind with God. Get your heart and your mind with doing right and good things. You know, people say, well, Steve, I understand. Okay, so let's run the scenario for a minute, okay, folks? Listen to me. Let's just say a pandemic hits and a collapse comes. And it's mayhem and it's chaotic and you're afraid to go out of your house and you're hiding in your basement with your few cans of vegetable beef soup that you stored away. Who wants to live like that anyway? And I've met a lot of people. I used to feel this way myself. If that's what it's going to come to and that's what it's going to happen and that's all I have in my life to look forward to, then I'd just as soon go. Let me go. I don't need to stock. I'll just go with everybody else. I'll starve to death. But let me tell you, there's something bigger at stake here. There's something far greater at stake here, and it's this. I want to live to fight. I don't want to live just to survive. I don't want to live just to breathe. I want to live to conquer. I don't want to be the ruler. I don't want to be the king. But I want to be a conqueror. In Romans chapter 8, the Apostle Paul says that in Christ we are more than conquerors. I want to be around for years to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to people. I want them to know that the government is not their God. I want them to know that the government is not the right way. I want them to know that the government has stolen their rights and they don't have the authority to do it. I want them to know that they need to stand up. I want them to know that the United States of America was based on these fundamental principles and that that's what we must get back in our lives. I want to fight. If the blue helmet UN troops come in here to help quell the masses through the chaos that's going to ensue, I want to take them out. They don't have any right marching down my streets. I don't want to live just to live. I want to live to fight. I want to live to fight. I want to fight the good fight. I want to be a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Why do I want to prepare? Why do I want to survive? Why would I want to live in a world of chaos and mayhem? And because somewhere, somehow, there has to be a light shining. There has to be a light shining somewhere. We can never let it go out. We can never let it go dim. Is it scriptural? I think it is. No, it is. You mean to tell me, Bays, that the Bible says I can kill someone? No, not murder. I didn't. The Bible says, oh, yeah, you can kill people. Absolutely. You can't murder them. There's a difference between killing someone and murdering them. Now, before I get everybody up all on their high horse, I'm not a lunatic. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go shooting people, okay? But if war comes, you better be prepared in your hearts and in your minds where you are at, because complacency will only harm you. Indecisiveness will harm you. Pacifism will harm you. You better have it in your hearts and in your minds where you're going to have to stand. Now, I pray to God it never comes. I hope and I pray. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that somehow, some way in the midterms, and I don't believe it for a second, but it's a hope against hope, if you will. Abraham had hope against hope that he could have a child. Well, and he bore Isaac when he was past 100 years old, right? I have hope against hope. Somehow we can thwart the evil without it getting physical. Go ahead, caller. You're on Live with Steve.
Sorry for calling twice, but just to clarify a point you just made, how right you are. Patton said you shouldn't be proud to die for your country as a soldier. I want you to live for your country and make the other fella die for his.
There you go. Right on.
And I'd rather die on my feet free than live on my knees. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate that. No doubt. So we talk about God's got this. God's in control. Friends, if that's true, and it is, there's no doubt. But I want you to think about this. If God's in control, why has it gotten to the degree it's gotten to right now? If he's in control, why is evil running so rampant and taking over? If he's in control, if he's got this, if all we got to do is just sit back and watch him work and pray, haven't we been doing that our whole lives already? Where's it gotten us? It's gotten us evil, more evil, more evil, more evil. You see, it's not, the question is not, is God working in the world right now? He certainly is. The question is, how does God work in the world right now? God works by means of the gospel of Jesus Christ. For I'm not ashamed of the gospel of God, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed. How is the righteousness of God revealed? Through the gospel of Jesus Christ. How is the righteousness of God promoted and manifested? By people being faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ. You mean to tell me, Baisden, I should not let evil win? That's exactly what we got to do. We got to stand for what's right and fight against what's wrong. You mean to tell me, Baisden, the reason the world's the way it is because Christians haven't been doing enough? That's exactly what I'm telling you. They're not even Christians. They don't even know how to become. The average person out there right now, listen, if you're listening to me right now, you're a part of this. 99.9% of you. Are you listening? You think you're Christian and you're not. Why? Because you're too busy letting God do it all for you. You don't even know what it takes to become a Christian. You're listening to the fake pastors. You're listening to the fake news. You're filling your head with all kinds of propaganda, the traditions of men. You think it's always been this way. My family taught me this. My pastor says that. And you think you're something you're not even, that you're not even. We've been sold a bill of goods from every angle. From within and from without. Do you realize there's wolves in sheep's clothing among you? Do you realize that? And listen, the apostles Paul, who said that in Acts chapter 20, was talking to the elders of the church of Ephesus. And he told those elders, even among yourselves shall grievous wolves enter in. Even among yourselves, even among the elders, even among those with authority, even among the hierarchy. Your pastors, are you listening? Are wolves in sheep's clothing. I don't know how else to say it. They don't know the truth. The average pastor is nothing but a pacifist, coward piece of garbage that's literally with the enemy because they're complacent with the enemy. They're passive toward the enemy. We are in a war, good versus evil. We're in a battle every day of our lives, right versus wrong. Is it a Christian thing to fight? Fight the good fight of faith. We're to earnestly contend for the gospel of Jesus Christ, Jude 3. Earnestly contend. Fight for it. Be good soldiers. Jesus is the captain of our faith. Evil wins when good does nothing. Well, how does God? Well, God's working. Yes, but he works through the gospel. He works by means of people being faithful to him. That's how righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach of it. If the people are righteous, the nation flourishes. But if the people are sinful, the nation comes down. God's at work. He's at work. Too many people do not understand this. Too many people are complacent in their lives. They go to their little quote-unquote churches. They're not even a true church. And they listen to their pastors spew out the loving, kind, merciful, graceful, all charitable goodness of God. Oh, how warm of our hearts. And if you have him in your heart, it's utopian and it's euphoric. And let's sing Kumbaya now. 1, 2, let's all feel good together. Because really, we're the children of God. And isn't it wonderful? And you go to church and you get all warm and fuzzy inside, and you walk out to a world that smacks you upside the head, and you say, what's happening? I'm confused. I thought I was a child of God. I thought he would protect me. I thought, you thought wrong. You thought what you've been brainwashed into thinking your whole life. You thought wrong. You thought about the traditions of men had higher regard than the Word of God. Traditions are wrong. You thought the public, because everybody believes something this way, that's got to be right. Are you serious? Many are called, but few are chosen. Thou shalt not follow the multitude to do evil, God told Moses. Wide and broad is the way which leads to destruction, and many there be which go therein at. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto righteousness, and few there be that find it. And you can know them by their fruits. Are they good fruit, or are they bad fruit? You can read about the good fruit and the bad fruit in Galatians chapter 5, verses 19 through 22. Are they liars? Are they adulterers? Are they murderers? Are they stealers? Are they greedy? That's bad fruit. That's bad fruit. Are they telling you to be complacent and just sit back and not worry? God's got it. He's in control. Don't lose your faith. You stay strong in the faith. You pray. It'll be okay. Yeah, right. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 9. He that turneth his ear from hearing the law of the Lord, even his prayers shall be abomination. You turn your ear away from doing what God said do, your prayer is an abomination. John 9, God heareth not sinners' prayers. Are you listening? And I got 2 minutes on the air. Faithfulness, friends, is far more than sitting around thinking God's got it and praying to him. Faithfulness, faith without works is dead being alone. James chapter 2. James chapter 2. We want to change our country. We got to change our lives. We have to change how we're thinking about things. We have to change our traditions. We have to put away that which is wrong, even if it means all of it. You know, Solomon would write that there's a time to tear down before you can rebuild. And I suggest to you that's 99% of the populace that's out there right now, religiously speaking, and that comes first. Remember, that's numero uno, number one. God must come first. Religiously speaking, 99% of the populace are dead wrong in their convictions and their thoughts. See, they don't even know how to be saved. I'm here to tell you, Jesus said, he that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. A man must be born again of the water and of the Spirit, or he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. John 3:5. That's what Jesus said. Be thou faithful unto death, and you shall receive the crown of righteousness. Revelation 2:10. Be thou what? Faithful unto death? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not promoting violence, but at the same time, I will not sit back and allow evil to take over and to destroy my life, and I'll fight for it. With every ounce of my being. Because I love God, because I love righteousness, and I love what this country used to once be. And I love you. My name is Steve Baisden, and my phone number is 231-425-6044. Call me. Contact me. Let me know what you're thinking. If you think I'm full of beans, if you're interested in hearing the gospel, which is my number one priority, let me know. Rhonda, we need to switch station, honey. Okay. Folks, give me a call, 231-425-6044. May God bless us all. May God help us.